And a good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Andrew Edwards. I am Michael Ford, and thank you for watching the Powerhouse Sports Battle of Murder Creek Coaches Show. We are joined by the TR Miller Tigers. I feel that's worth repeating. We are joined by the TR Miller Tigers down there in good old Bruton, Alabama. The Tigers are rolling, and folks, wow, we appreciate you taking time out of this World Series Tuesday where the Yankees and the Dodgers are about to get underway. But, folks, we are talking about some good old football. So while you're watching us, maybe you can watch, well, let me rephrase that. While you're watching the Dodgers and the Yankees, you can have us playing in the background. Andrew Etheridge, thank you so much for being on here tonight. What a fun day, guys. What an exciting day. And now let's get into this show. And Andrew, I'm going to start throw it over to you where, these guys are coming off of a 43-0 win over the Admirals of Bayside Academy. You muted.
I'm muted. You want me to start with them or input first?
Input first, and then we'll throw it we'll throw it over to Coach Hubbard.
No, I was talking about on the show last night and last week. Talked about how big of a game against Bayside that was, not just for the region, but also kind of the TR Miller team. One of the most mature teams this season that I've seen. I think you can attest to that as well. But like you said, a big win in Daphne Friday. I think put a lot of people on notice in the region, also across the state. The way TR Miller dominated for 4 quarters in Daphne Friday.
And now I will bring in Coach Hubbard. Coach Hubbard, once again, thank you for joining the show tonight. And like Andrew said, a very big win last week over Bayside Academy, a 43-0 win. Just talk about that game itself. I mean, you came out a very slow first quarter. I think the end of the first quarter the score was 0-0. And then that second quarter, the Tigers took the lead and they never looked back. So, what was your overall thoughts on that game that your team played on Friday night?
I don't look at slow when you're playing an undefeated team. I don't look at. I mean, it's always a filling out process when you're playing another good football team, and we feel like it was a filling out process on both sides of the ball. Then we get see things that we feel like we can take advantage of. They do the same thing, and our kids did a really good job of making some adjustments. I thought our defensive coaching staff had an outstanding plan for the week, and I thought the kids went out and they made good on that plan. They took it and put it to work.
And coach, it was folks. I was watching this game in the back of a truck headed to Lexington, and I'm telling you, I was yelling and screaming the entire way. But coach, it looked like when your quarterback, I mean, every facet of the game just was dominated by T.R. Miller. The offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, the special team side of the ball. What was your message going into that game, knowing that it was the region championship?
Oh, I mean, it's the eighth game of the year. You hope you're starting to get rid of a lot of the cobwebs and starting to play pretty solid football going into the playoffs. That's what you want to be. There's always that game where you may have some hiccups. You don't want that, but you're playing for a region championship. Those are important, and you have to execute and do those. I mean, we opened the game with a 16-play drive and don't get any points because we shoot ourselves in the foot with 2 penalties on one play. And so, we can't do that. We can't do that this Friday. We can't do that and expect to advance in the playoffs. We had a good start, but then you get down to the red zone and shoot yourself in the foot, and we can't self-inflict wounds on ourselves.
And Andrew, I am going to throw it over to you, and maybe we can get those guys in the background involved on the show to talk about last week's big win before we move on to this week's game.
And Coach, I want to ask you this question. We'll move on to the players too. But I got a chance to talk to you a few weeks ago, and me and Michael talked about the same thing. This team has been through a lot on the field as well as off the field. It's a mature team. On the TR Miller sideline, there's amount of focus. There's a different focus this team has compared to other teams across the state. What is it like being around these guys and just this group of mature young men? I think a lot of these guys are more mature for their age than most people that I guess are their age playing football.
It definitely makes our job as coaches a whole lot easier. The best teams are player-led, and when you have players like we have sitting in this room that are doing the leading, it's definitely a plus. They have been through a lot. Hey, we coach football, so it gets rough outside, but I think they get the message and not the tone, and that's because they are so mature. And then they'll still put their arm around the coach or smile and laugh and tell a joke as soon as we walk back in the field house because they know that practice field. Once we get off of those gates, we still love each other, and they know that, and the coaches know that, and that just makes it a pleasure to come to practice and come to work and see these guys every day.
And Coach, this game Friday night, it needs no introduction. Biggest game of the year for many reasons in this area. Back in the day, I remember the town shutting down. You couldn't get a seat if you got there past 5:30. You have a young man that has played for one school across the creek. He gets to play for the other school this year. Before we get to that part, just you've been in this town now, I think 6 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, 6 or 7, right?
6. It's the 6th year.
So it's your 6th year in this rivalry. What's it been like the past 6 years for you every single year when it gets to Battle Murder Creek Week?
Oh, well, football obviously is the king or the bell cow in the South, and that's no secret here in our town. But it's also you watch our schools play volleyball. You watch our schools play softball, baseball. They come into a track meet. Both programs are eyeing each other. Seeing who they're going to run against and it's all Miller Neal. It's just an important. There's kinfolk. There's guys that have left come here. Guys that left here and gone there. There's parents that have their kids playing for us that when they were in school they played there. So it's just it just kind of boils in you, and so it's exciting.
Oh, Coach, let's bring the players in and talk about them. And of course, Andrew's jumping the gun just a little bit, but I want to start with Marshall. And Marshall, my first question is to you. And my question to you is your team had a big win on Friday, but obviously that winning the region championship is not the end goal. So what is your mindset as well as your brother's mindset going forward into the rest of this season?
Um, I just think Coach Hub, before the Bayside game, he came in and we had something to look forward to after the game to see how Let was doing and Let how hard he worked and how hard he's working right now. That's just gonna motivate us to go even farther.
And we're just gonna go straight down the line right there. And I'm gonna start with you, Quay, and just say your team, you guys did clinch the region championship. How did that feel when the dust settled on Friday night?
It felt pretty good to be able to win a region championship, be undefeated in week 9 of the season. But we do got more games ahead of us that we got to worry about. So we can't just stay focused and just think that just because we won the region championship that we're going to win the state championship.
And over to you, Nathan, before I throw it back over to Andrew to interview the rest of the team. Nathan, you have been phenomenal. The whole team has been phenomenal. Every player, every side of the ball has been phenomenal. But our, I guess, co-host, Hollywood, had mentioned how you have grown in front of our ass, in front of our eyes, and that you have continued to improve each week, week in, week out. What does that attest to? How have you been getting ready week in, week out to help your teammates on the field?
Well, I've just been trying to be a better leader, and if like they have questions about a play or something, they can ask me. Like I just help them. If they don't know what to do, I can tell them, and they'll do it right. And like I just want to be there if they do have a question about anything, they can just ask me and just be there for them.
And we're going to go down the line in the back, starting with Langley Folsom. Again, Langley, big win against Bayside Friday night. You're looking to clinch a regional title. You did so in convincing fashion. What did that feel like after the game was over and you had time to look at it as your senior year, y'all finish up as region champs?
I mean, it felt great. I mean, especially being undefeated. It's been a while since we've done that. And, the coaches gave us a game plan, and we just went with it, and it turned out in our favor.
And Miles, going to you, and again, going on the line. Last year, you weren't able to compete with these guys. I know it meant a lot to you this year. Seeing you come out and play, tremendous season so far. And in my opinion, it was career night for you against Bayside Friday. What did it feel like being back out there and to be able to compete with your guys and also compete and win the region title?
Bayside was one of the games that I was looking forward to coming into this season just because of the intensity that we played with last season, and it was a big game for us, especially being a region championship. I was excited to play just another game. I just value each and every time I'm on the field with these guys.
And continuing going on the line, back on the back row. Again, region champs on Friday. A lot to look forward to this week. But just your feelings on winning over Bayside Friday night and being able to finish as a region champion.
Andrew, the young man in the back in the middle, his name is Kadarius Floyd. He is a transfer. He's actually ineligible, but he's a senior, and he practices with us every day. Can't play in a game or anything. He's never played football, came in from Las Vegas, and we're just happy he's out here and being a part, learning a lot of stuff with us, and just being a part of the team. And I'd like for him to say, if he wants to say something about that, let him go ahead.
Being part of the team, being part of the team is good. It's fun. I didn't know it was gonna be like this when I came down here. I thought it was gonna be like the regular football team in Vegas.
And I do want to ask, because I had no idea, and I do want to ask this question. Coming from Las Vegas, is South Alabama football better than it is over there on the West Coast? Because I've always wanted to know that.
This is way better down here. It's more intense than out there.
Coach Hubbert, I didn't know you had a player that was from Las Vegas. That's pretty crazy coming from Las Vegas to Bruton, Alabama.
We call him Vegas. That's his name.
One more question for you. I'm kind of intrigued now. Was it a huge culture shock coming from a town like that, coming to Bruton, Alabama, where honestly there's not much, if anything, to do besides Friday nights?
He said if he gets bored, he rides down to Atmore and rides by the casino. Makes him feel at home.
Continue down, guys. Great.
Look, Andrew, don't do Brew like that. I mean, Brew got a Kim 31. We got a David Catfish, and we got a Whataburger. Everybody goes to Whataburger after the game. I mean, Whataburger be what they say lit.
You got no chance to win money at those places, Michael. You're losing money. You're giving it away.
But it's money worth spent. It's money worth spent. I'm telling you.
I go along with that.
You come from a place like Las Vegas, Mike. They're the Las Vegas Raiders, and you got the Strip and all the casinos. You're coming to Bruton. You're trying to advertise Whataburger being better than that. Come on, man. But going down the line here, region championship on Friday against Bayside. Again, a lot of you seniors, you finished up the region title. You have a chance to finish your undefeated. Just your feelings about beating Bayside Friday.
What you got to say about beating Bayside Friday and being region champs?
Oh, it felt good being region champs, securing a good spot in the playoffs. And I feel like our coaches, they set us up pretty well to get the job done.
And continuing down the line, I believe Mr. Caleb Russell, you're up next. I know your brother pretty well, went to school with him. I know just being with him, I know
Bless his heart.
Hey, come on, man. But Caleb, your feelings, you're one of the players I enjoy seeing playing on Friday nights. When you get the game, just your attitude and the way you carry yourself. Big win Friday, obviously big senior year. You right now clinch your region title first. How did it feel to beat Bayside Friday?
It felt winning to win it with all these guys around me. You know, we had 2 weeks to prepare, so coaches laid out a good plan for us, and we just executed.
And John Robert Jernigan, I know you battled some injuries this year, kind of trying to get 100%. You've been a huge part for that Miller offensive line this year, a crucial part. How did it feel against Bayside, against that defensive front, to be able to not only win the region title but also win in convincing fashion?
It felt good. Most of all, I think this game, the O-line really unified together, and we played in my opinion, one of the best games we played. And I'm really hoping this will be the way it's going to be for the rest of the season, and we're able to help out more on our running game and pass game. We're just more of a solid unit.
And continuing down the line before I send it back to Floyd. Again, big region win. The thoughts about that, and kind of the thoughts a little bit going into this week. I'm gonna give you guys on the end there the kind of a different question.
Go ahead, Ashton. You said you're gonna give them a different one?
No, I was gonna ask them how did it feel to win the region title, and also this week their feelings coming into the battle of Murder Creek.
How did it feel to win the region title and getting prepared for this game this week?
Winning the region title was good. You know, they played good, we played good. They're a good matchup, and preparing this week it's tough. You know how big this game is and how much intensity they're going to bring, and what's on the line here for generations to generations of playing them.
And last but not least, again, region title Friday night. How does it feel? And coming in this week for the Battle of Murder Creek.
It feels good to win the region title. You know, Friday night, one of the key things that stood out to me was when Ken gave us a message, and he told us that people we say less strong, but he was telling us it was we strong. He was putting us before him, so like that was something that got me fired up really, and I almost put tears in my eyes. And playing against Neal is always exciting. Last year was probably the most hype I've ever been, and I feel like going out with these guys is gonna be really fun and playing against our rival team.
And Floyd, over to you.
Oh, go ahead. Thank you. Guys, really great answers. And Coach Hubbard, I want to bring you into the fold, and let me do this like this, and hope everyone will indulge me for just a second. But Coach, during the bye week, first of all, I'm a firm believer of you can't accept the future unless you understand where you've come from. And Coach, during the bye week, you and a special teams from Maplesville was honored for your big achievement while you're at that school. And I wanted to see if you would just take a moment and just talk about that achievement that you did. And here at Powerhouse Sports, we salute you for accomplishing that. I believe it was a championship that was celebrated. But if you don't mind just indulging in us about that moment you experienced during the Terminal bye week.
Well, obviously, I think I got the idea. I talked to the coaches there, some of the coaches that maybe are still on the staff that were part of the team that won it in 2014. Coach Riggs, they do it here. They celebrate every 10 years or 20 years with the state championship. And I had some guys that reached out over the summer and, Coach, man, I sure would like to get back and talk and hang out and catch up with everybody. And I said, well, we have an off week. If y'all can help get it organized, I really can't do it. I'm busy. And I kind of had forgotten about it. And one of the quarterback on the team called me and said, Coach, we got almost 30 guys out of the 44. And I was like, holy crap. And I said, well, I'll be there. And we just kind of ate. We hung out while the teams warmed up, talked. I don't think anybody watched the game. We spent the whole game standing in the end zone talking to each other. So it was pretty cool. Get to see those guys catch up, been 10 years since they won a state championship, and seeing how their kids, first time you see them when they have kids because they're all pushing 30 now, so it was special.
Indeed, and I just wanted to take a moment and indulge in that. And I just want to go back on the bye week. While we're talking about that, you had the bye week, and you come out and you kick Bayside to the wayside, as we said when I was in high school, beat them 43-0. What was your message during your team during the bye week? I mean, knowing that, I mean, it was a good came at a good little time after homecoming. You had a bye week, then you had the region championship, and now it's full steam ahead. Hopefully, the journey that will end at Protective Stadium. What was your message to your team during that bye week?
We had some nicks and bumps and bruises and some things and our road had been pretty tough. We'd been kind of, pretty challenging out of region, and in the region teams we play, the type of games they want to play. So it was physical. We used 3 days. We kind of did some things that I've never done before as far as the way we practiced. But the kids responded, and I thought they did a great job the off week. We hit it hard in the weight room, got out and worked on a lot of our weaknesses that we thought had presented themselves earlier, and went back and fixed some things. And then we did dabble and do a little bit of Bayside work, but we really didn't spend the off week on Bayside. We kind of spent it on ourselves. Didn't want to wear them down with just Bayside. And then coming in the next week, I thought we showed up at practice a little hungry, and that was good to see.
And one more question, focusing on Bayside before we move on and keep it moving. Um, Coach, it can't be stated how much this community has rallied behind Ken and this team, and not just the community, not just Bruton, but just other high schools. I saw today where the Jackson Aggies or Jackson High School sent a card to Ken expressing their support for him. Um, have you seen anything like this when it comes to a situation like this? And also, would you mind giving us an update on Ken as well?
Yeah, when the accident happened, and since there's coaches throughout the state that reach out, ever so often, and some have been repetitive in reaching out, and they want to know how he's doing, and checking in on him. I've seen the schools. We've got, there's schools that we play that have really reached out and done a lot for him, still doing a lot for him. Now, as far as his update, his mom does an unbelievable job every day of putting out updates. And I told her, I said, first, I'm going to share it on my page because a lot of people are really listening and looking, wanting to see how it is. I think therapy's getting him wore down pretty good right now. They're working the mess out of him. Software, he's going to start some aquatic stuff, which is good. There's been numerous football injuries that have come into the Shepherd Center since he's been there. And, I think he was elected. The last post we got us told the guys about, he was appointed the mayor of the hall. So he is mayor-elect, and his job is to meet incoming patients. And he's kind of in charge on the hall until he's discharged. And he was surprised because you get to be that until you are gone from there. And there was a young lady, and you get to pick the next one, and she turned around and picked him. So that's pretty cool. I think probably because of a lot of his positiveness. The coolest thing I think I've seen, and you hate to have to say it's cool because of the situation he's in, we're in with him being where he's at. But we got him on FaceTime after the game so he could enjoy the region championship celebration with us live. That was pretty cool. The smile on his face was awesome.
Andrew, over to you.
And if it's okay with Floyd, I'm going to try to dabble into the Battle Murder Creek a little bit for the Friday's game. So, Coach, last year is your 6th year at the BOMC. A lot of these guys have played in the last 4 years. Some of the guys might be their first start in the Battle Murder Creek. But just starting off on top, what is your message usually during Battle of Murder Creek Week about maybe just staying focused, locked in, maybe don't get on social media as much, or just about the emotion and passion this game could bring out on Friday night?
Now, our message about social media is pretty much all year. Let's make sure, and kids are going to be kids. We got knuckleheads like everybody's got knuckleheads. I get it. I was one of those guys. Unfortunately, I think we didn't have social media, but I was just one of those guys that stayed in the coach's doghouse. Just happened to be my house. We tell them, we don't want to give ammunition. We want to show up and play the game on Friday night and let that be enough. Let your actions speak. As far as a message for the week about being, you're going to be hyped up at kickoff. There's no sense in being hyped up Monday at 4:30. Focus, locked in, and getting the game plan and knowing what to expect, knowing what they do, and knowing what to expect for them to do and things like that Monday through Thursday. We get 2 more days this week to get some of that stuff, oiled and good and ready to go, and hope we go out and execute it. I don't think, as far as getting fired up, I don't think in a game like this, a coach having to get you fired up in a game like this, then you're probably in a little bit of trouble anyway. Just coach the game and let's play the game, and handle the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game, and then play football, because that's where all the emotions are at.
Folks, you are watching the Powerhouse Sports Battle of Murder Creek Coaches Show. We'll be back after this.
And the Milton Eagles are state champions for the 2nd time in program history.
Goal to go. They carry him into the end zone with A.J. Green. Because time has expired and Clay Chalkville
Came back.
won the 6A state championship. Here's McGuire. And a big high hop. And it's recovered by Thompson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Andrew answers. I am Michael Floyd, and we are joined by the T.R. Miller Tigers. The intensity is unmatched. The passion is uncomparable, and the game is unrivaled. Friends are separated. Families are divided, and some marriages and relationships are just complicated during Halloween week, because it means the Battle of Murder Creek is here. This is the 82nd edition of the Battle of Murder Creek between the T.R. Miller Tigers and the W.S. Neal Blue Eagles. And Coach, I want to ask you this question. I've been told Halloween is just for kids, and I think that is totally false. So, Coach, I'm going to ask you, if you could dress up as anybody on Halloween, who would you dress up as and why?
I have no clue. I remember dressing up with my wife at a couple's Halloween thing as M&Ms. So that was pretty awkward. Now, if I could choose, Rambo. I don't know. They don't even know who Rambo is. Rambo.
Coach, I don't even know who Rambo is.
The Boz. I would dress up like the Boz. That was my man back in high school. I dress up like the Boz. Brian Bosworth.
And you know what? I'm going to let the players get in on this fun, too. And I'm going to start with Nathan. Nathan, on Halloween, I mean, you might dress up this year. I don't know. You might have to make it to curfew. But who would you dress up as for Halloween?
I don't know. That's Nick Saban.
All right, I'm gonna come back to you now. I ain't gonna let you off the hook. But JR, I'm gonna throw it to you back there in the back, JR. Who would you be for Halloween?
I thought you would go down a lot.
Okay, we'll go down the line. Okay, let's start with Langley. We'll go down the line to Terrence, then we'll come back up to Marshall, and then we'll end with Nathan. What would you be for Halloween? That's the question before you.
To be honest, I'd probably dress up as like the gingerbread man, maybe.
All right. I dig that. I dig it. Okay.
Come on, KB.
I thought it was Miles. Oh, I think I could pull Donald Trump off.
I would love to see that. I really would. Go. I really would. Andrew, are you on camera? Are you laughing hard as I am right now? I'm having fun with this. Okay, Miles. Go to you, Miles.
I would dress up like a squirrel.
All right, now y'all call him Vegas. So Vegas, who would you be for Halloween?
I'll be a dinosaur.
A dinosaur.
Now, someone said in the comments we got to see somebody as Paul Blart, the mall cop. I'm not sure.
He was talking about Hubbard. That came up when he talked about his costume.
Oh. All right, so now we're at Caleb, right? We're at Caleb.
I would probably be a snowman.
A snowman in Alabama. I like that. All right, JR, it's back to you.
I'd probably dress up like one of the women off of White Chicks. You know, they dress up as girls.
That's not
That's kind of crazy.
All right, Ashton.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah.
I dressed up as a big yellow rubber ducky.
And I'll dress up as Fat Albert.
Yeah.
I'll dress up as Flash. So
I'll probably dress up as Robin.
I'm going Batman.
I already know this works.
I don't know where. I think Floyd laughed himself out the camp. Oh, he's gone. All right. Well, Coach, I'm gonna throw it over to. Let me put this back on here. What's going on here? But Miles, going back to the Battle of Murder Creek. Obviously, you're injured last year. You're returning. You get to play at home in front of your home crowd. Last regular season home game, and it's against WSN, the Battle of Murder Creek. What have your emotions been like this week? Knowing last year you couldn't play against these guys, but now it's not only your return, but also your last game against WSN.
Really just these group of guys, it's our last year having this chance to play in this big game. Especially me not being able to play with them last year. It's really been a lot of motivation here, just getting things right and doing the things we need to do to have the best chance to win and get the job done on Friday.
And Nathan, I'm gonna throw it over to you next. Obviously, your quarterback, and I believe it's your third WSN game starting quarterback. I'm glad I wasn't the only one trying to get confused. But Nathan, your second one, obviously away last year, home against WSN this year. What's it like to quarterback the Battle of Murder Creek for some guys that really don't know, I guess, quote unquote, the pressure that comes with it?
Well, first off, it's a really, really loud game, so you can't hear much. So my job's like calling plays out. Everybody's kind of hard, so I gotta speak up a little bit this year. And just the atmosphere is great, and it's so fun to play in. And I'm just looking forward to it with these guys.
Floyd, back over to you.
Coach, when you look at the film, and I know what the record says, but when you look at the film, what do you see from this WS Neal football team?
Speed. I think that's been our message to our guys. Speed and a team. They're playing with a lot of enthusiasm and excitement, and that has, when I talked to Coach Fountain on the phone, he said, really proud of the way they've responded. We had a rough start, and they never let it die, and they bought in and playing really hard right now. And that's exactly. I mean, he's hit the nail on the head, because when you watch the film, that's exactly what you see.
And going into that, and when you look at WS Neal, and then when you look at your team's performance against Bayside on last week, what are some things that, I mean, obviously don't know what your game plan, but what are some areas that you think need just a little tweaking this week as you prepare for this game on Friday night?
Well, we're going to have to tackle in space. Not necessarily saying we didn't do that, but it's just going to be a different type of speed coming at you. You got to tackle in space. We have to win in the trenches. A lot of battles on both sides of the ball, and you definitely have to be solid in the kicking game. Big rivalry game. Kicking game can help you win or make you lose. So you got to be solid. You got to be solid in all three phases. That's for sure.
Coach, you're no stranger to big games. You're no stranger to rivalry games. So we hear it all the time that when you play rivalries games, you can throw the records out the window because, I mean, they don't matter. In your experience at playing in rivalry games here at Miller and at Maplesville and other previous stops, what is something that you have taken with you everywhere you've been to get your teams ready for rivalry week?
I don't think you need to over prepare. You got to be really good at executing, especially early. You got to be solid at executing the things you can execute really well, both sides of the ball. And understand like I said earlier, the first 3 to 5 minutes, there's going to be more intensity used than anything, and getting through that without letting something determine the outcome of the game, 3 touchdowns, something crazy. Get through that and then settle in and play football. And these guys have done that really well this year in some games that we consider maybe not big rivalry games, but just big games.
And I want to throw it to Terrence in the back. And my question to you is, like Coach just said, you've already played in big games, and this is just another big game on the schedule. How has your schedule so far gotten you ready for the last week of football season, the last week of the regular season?
So basically, every game is a battle, and we're not going in looking down on other teams. We're always expecting. We're ready to game plan against them. Now I got something that we need to keep an eye on and work hard, and something that we need to fix every week. So yeah, it's just really just been keeping us motivated and keeping us on the ground to get better each week.
Okay, so I'm trying to see something here. Langley, JR, and if I get somebody else, please correct me. But a relative has one of y'all relatives played in the Battle of Murder Creek? I know JR has family that went there. I know Langley has too, but I want to make sure I don't miss anybody in this question. Is it just Langley?
My dad played.
Okay, your dad played. Okay. So to the players, all right, to the players who has had relatives play in this game, Miles, I forgot about you. I don't know how I forgot about you, Miles. But for the players that have had family members play in the Battle of Murder Creek, what does it mean for you now to play in such a game following your family's legacy in such a big game? Whoever wants to start, you can go first, and then we'll just take turns. And that's my last question before I throw it back over to Andrew.
I want to say it's a big responsibility that, I mean, we feel like it's thrown upon us. I mean, from a little age, it's always been us versus Neal. I mean, we're all friends outside of football, but then, like, when it comes to football, you know, our relatives expect a battle, and we're expected to perform for them. And it's more than just us, the whole community. I mean, we want to win, but it's also the community behind us that they want us to win. It's always been a good game.
You know, it brings a different type of preparation that you have to come into, knowing that you've had family members playing this game. You just want to keep the tradition of T.R. Miller versus Neal up to par. You know, you never want to downplay this game, and I think it's as important as it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. You know, it's always good to play in this game and represent T.R. Miller.
Anyone else?
Like what Miles said, 20 years, 30 years ago, they started it. We're just here to finish it and keep it going.
Do we miss anybody?
I think that's it.
And I want to go to.
I think I think I said Langley because I know he has had relatives that have went to T.R. Miller. So my apologies for that. But Andrew, I think that is everybody. Over to you.
So I want to ask Quay this question because I believe, unless my mom corrects me, it's my 25th straight Battle of Murder Creek seeing it in person. And I've rarely seen, I know I've seen 1, 2, 3 guys that have transferred from Miller to Neal, Neal to Miller, if they're playing the Battle of Murder Creek for either team the next year. But Quay, you know, you played at Neal last year. If you're playing at Miller this year in the Battle of Murder Creek, there's a lot of, you know, I know how it must be in your shoes, you know, getting ready for this game. You might hear some jawing back and forth, this and that. But what's it like? What's it been like for you this year to play at T.R. Miller compared to playing at WSN the last year? The main difference you would say.
The main difference would be like the probably the atmosphere during practice. You go to practice here, it's really about business. It's not a lot of playing. You're not like really focused on getting ready to jump back with people. You really just focus on winning the game. Maybe over there it was a little different. We wasn't as focused on the game as we are here.
And you've had, before I throw back over to Floyd, you've had a big year for the Tigers this year. What's kind of been your mindset going into this game on Friday, facing your former teammates and your former brothers that you were with the team last year?
He said, what's it kind of, you know, feel like preparing to go against your brothers from last year?
I mean, yeah, they are my friends, but like JR said, when it comes to football, you have no friends if they're not in the same jersey as you. So they're gonna get the same treatment every other team has been getting.
That's what I'm talking about. Floyd, back over to you.
It will be the Tigers and the Blue Eagles on Friday night under the lights of Municipal Stadium, the 82nd edition of this rivalry. And folks, it was voted the best rivalry in the state of Alabama, the best rivalry in the South, and I believe a top 5 rivalry in the country. That's pretty impressive. And folks, that happens down there in Brewton, Alabama, the greater Brewton area, every year around Halloween time. Guys, looking forward to seeing you guys compete on Friday night. I mean, if you go trick-or-treating on Thursday, make sure you make it into curfew. Coach, I mean, are they allowed to go trick-or-treating on Thursday, or they got a strict curfew?
I don't know about a strict curfew, but I don't know that these guys will go trick-or-treating. I think they'd rather be tricking and treating Friday at 7.
Trick or treat, Andrew. Let's go trick or treating Friday at 7. I'll meet you there. Look, they'll leave the light on for us, Andrew. They'll leave the light on for us. It'll be a great. Coach Hubbert, as always, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. And one last question to you: it is the Battle of Murder Creek. How How have the Miller family rallied behind you and your team this year?
It's been great, obviously with Ken, there's been a lot of rallying around the program, period. But the fans have been great, good support, and we expect a full house Friday night in support of these guys. I would like to give a shout out to our girls playing in the Elite Eight in the state volleyball tournament. Really special to be one of the last 8 teams playing, and they're in Birmingham living it up. Don't know exactly how they did this afternoon or not, but we want to wish them well, and they know we're back here cheering for them.
Absolutely. I do echo those sentiments, Coach. Thank you so much for saying that as well. It is a Go Miller beat Neal week, folks, and I'm telling you, I am excited. Andrew in Hollywood will be there on Friday night, and I will be live from the studio with a megacast, a live reaction of me watching the game on Friday night. So it should be a fun night of wall-to-wall coverage of this historic rivalry, the Battle of Murder Creek. Folks, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back. Me and Andrew will be back for more. Coach Hubbard, as always, good luck this week, and we'll see you on Friday.
Thank y'all.
Folks, when we come back, Andrew and I are talking more about the Battle of Murder Creek. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And, oh, I gotta fix my hair. Andrew Andrews, I'm Michael Floyd. And thank you for watching the Powerhouse Sports, the Battle of Murder Creek Coaches Show. And Andrew, as we get ready to hear from Coach Fountain and the WS Neal Blue Eagles, so make sure all of the Blue Eagle fans that are watching, you like, you share, you comment. As Coach Fountain is expected to be here at the top of the hour, hopefully in the next 10 minutes. So make sure the WS Neal Nation is in the building supporting their Eagles, which I'm pretty sure they already are. But Andrew, we heard from Coach Hubbard, a big game on Friday night. What was your takeaway from him and his team?
Like we talked about before, this team is really they're really mature. One of the most mature teams we've covered all year. They're extremely focused. You saw the interview, but you also see on the sidelines as well of how well they've played together this year and the camaraderie this team has and the way they play for each other, play for the name across their, I guess the tier on there is across the back, but across the back of their jerseys. I mean, they have a lot of pride this year. And there's a lot of things, they're trying to play for. It's the 30th anniversary of the 1994 team, so that's been echoing around Bruton all year long. So they want to prove a point. They want to show that, it's just not a number beside our name or being number 1 in 3A, but it's also something we're going to prove, and we're going to prove why we deserve that ranking. So I think this game Friday night, the Battle of Murder Creek, they're going to want to come out swinging, score fast, score early. And it's a Battle of Murder Creek, so you want to, number 1, prove that you're number 1 in 3A for a reason, but also prove that you're number 1 in the county for a reason. And you got bragging rights the next 365 days. And Floyd, 365 times 5. What's that math? That's how many days Miller has had bragging rights over WS Neal in football.
I don't do math, so I don't know what that is.
Well, it's hashtag Miller by a lot of days. That's what it is.
Huge shout out to the Jackson Aggies. I saw they sent a get well card to Mr. Ken Lett Jr. in Atlanta. So huge shout out to them. I know Bayside, they wore I believe they wore a Ken Lett warm up on Friday night. I know WS Neal, they were right across the bridge. They've expressed their support. Many teams in the county and in the nearby area have expressed their support for Ken Lett, and just goes to show you some things are more than football. I mean, the Battle of Murder Creek is always a very, very great game. And I know in years past, I've always joking kid. I'm going to joking kid this week too. But at the end of the day, I love my Tigers, but I'm telling you this about T.R. Miller. T.R. Miller, as much as the rivalry game, I know what everybody is saying. I know what the paper says. I know what both teams' records are, but I don't think you can never underestimate W.S. Neal in a rivalry game. I just think W.S. Neal is going to come out with a lot of intensity. I think they're going to come out with a lot of passion. I believe I believe W.S. Neal High School is calling for a blue out. So the visitor side is going to be packed in the W.S. Neal Royal Blue or the Navy Blue. It's one of those blues. Someone will correct me. I'm pretty sure. And somebody just went yard in this game. I'm watching the baseball game as well. So there is going to be a lot of intensity. And here's the thing: those fans are going to be in those stands, and they're going to be loud. It is royal blue. Thank you. I can always count on Gracie. I'm just count on Gracie. They're going to be wearing their royal blue on Friday night, and they're going to hopefully they'll pack it out. I'm hoping. Here's what I'm hoping. Here's what I'm hoping. I hope I'm going to get on a little soapbox while we wait for Andrew and Coach Fountain to join the show. The Battle of Murder Creek is the spectacle that sets Bruton and East Bruton apart from the rest of the state. I mean, yes, I've been to Auburn High, I've watched Hoover versus Thompson. I've seen other big rivalry games. The Battle of Pritchard. I've seen the Battle of West Mobile, but there's still nothing like the Battle of Murder Creek. I mean, it's literally two cities divided strictly by a creek, and families stay on both sides. And I have relatives in Gerard. We trust folks in Gerard. We trust. I have relatives on both sides of this game this year, and it just goes to show you how deep this thing goes. And I know Hollywood alluded to that. Someone had texted him saying, "Hey, we're not talking this week because you with those Miller guys." It's like that. It's like that. It's kind of like it's not the Iron Bowl, but I mean the intensity, the passion can reach Iron Bowl levels. I mean, I know during Iron Bowl week, me and my dad, we don't even talk for the whole week. And I know I'll tell you, as soon as Neal and Miller won on Friday night, I got a text from my Uncle George. Love you, Uncle George. Love you, Uncle George. Don't tell him I shouted him out. I got a text from my Uncle George saying, "Hey, my grandboys are coming. Your cousins are coming." I'm like, we gonna be ready for them. So that's how deep this thing goes. And I'm telling you, there's absolutely nothing like the Battle of Murder Creek, and everybody should experience it. And here's the thing: no matter how far you go, whether you go east, west, north, or south, the Battle of Murder Creek will always be something you remember, always something that you will hold near and dear to your heart. And here's the thing: whether it's the football game gets the most attention, and rightfully so. The football game gets the most attention, but the intensity is on the football field, it's on the basketball court, it's on the baseball field, the softball field, it's on the track. The intensity is unmatched. The intensity is unrivaled, and I'm telling you, folks, it is really a spectacle to behold. And I'm going to say this: something I've always admired about W.S. Neal. I'm kind of on the soapbox while we wait for Coach Fountain to join the show. It doesn't matter what W.S. Neal's record is. It doesn't matter what how their season is going. Andrew, you just went to a very dark place, but we'll talk about that later. Those Eagles, they show up, they're loud, and they're rowdy, and that's something you might take a lot of things away from W.S. Neal, but you're not going to take away their passion. You're not going to take away their fight. And I'm going to ask Coach Fountain. I mean, if you look at W.S. Neal's football record, I mean, there's 3 games on their schedule where they're in there. They're in the game. Excel, Marietta, Orange Beach. They were in those football games. They were in those football games, and those football games. So Andrew, you are really loud. They're in those football games, folks. I mean, they're just one play away, maybe 1 or 2 plays away from being in those games and possibly winning those games. That's why I say, I don't think the record reflects how good this WS Neal team is. Sorry about that soapbox right there, but hope you guys enjoyed it while we wait for Coach Fountain. Hell by colors, blue and gold. That's what they say over there, y'all. That's what they say over there. What they say, Everfly? Is it Everfly, folks? I think it's Everfly. I think it's something like that. I believe it's Everfly. But go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead.
I'm in the car right now. I'm multitasking tonight. But I just want to say this, Floyd. I'm kind of sad. I told you earlier, because we haven't had a lot of Neal Miller folks chatter in the comments. I'm gonna tell you this: I got 15 Powerhouse Sports T-shirts that I'm bringing to the game Friday. And whatever fan base is active on our post the rest of the week, they're gonna get the most on their side. That's where we're gonna do this. Whatever fan base is the loudest and the proudest, they're gonna get a little over half those shirts on their side Friday for a chance to get a Powerhouse Sports T-shirt Friday. So if y'all want a chance, like and share, tag all the Neal, tag all the Miller people. Oh, Gracie said they're here. She's always here. But tag all your Neal people, tag all your Miller people, let them know, because we have about 15 Powerhouse Sports T-shirts. Limited time only, folks. Black Friday sale comes early. But no, let them know for what I might lose service in a second. That might be a little choppy. But no, Coach Fountain coming on. Always a great time with him. He loves something about Murder Creek. He's been in, 15 of them? Or 10? He's been in a lot of them. I know he's played in some. I know he's coached, and I think it's 10.
So, yes. So, you heard Andrew, people. I think Coach Fountain has been in quite a few of them. He has been in quite a few of them. Folks, somebody might have to reach out to Coach Fountain and make sure he know to still get on, because I know somebody need to reach out to Coach Fountain, make sure he all right. Because normally sometimes we have to walk him through what happens, because StreamYard can be complicated. It can be complicated. So it can be complicated. So make sure you let's see. Just want to make sure I didn't forget. Make sure he isn't backstage. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break, folks, and when we come back, I will hope to be with Coach Hugh Fountain and the WSNL Blue Eagles. Blue Eagles, representing the comments. We'll be back after this.
Get y'all a coach that knows how to work the internet. Yeah, Josh. So steer.
Please welcome to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, Coach Hugh Fountain and the WSNL Blue Eagles. It's just different over there across the creek, I've been told. I've never experienced it, but I've heard so much about it. And Coach Fountain, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yes, sir. Hey, thank y'all very much for having us. And, we are excited about this week and excited about, our future this year. Because a couple of weeks ago, things weren't looking good for us, but we've really turned it around, and we're really proud to have the playoffs in front of us, and are looking forward to this game Friday night.
And Coach, before we get into football, I asked T.R. Miller this question because I know there's a big holiday on Thursday, and there's a lot of candy that's going to be given out. So, Coach Fountain, if you could dress up as somebody as Halloween, who would you dress up as?
Hey, Mike. You don't know me too good because I'm 60 and I don't think I've ever done Halloween a day in my life. Hey, used to when my kids were little, I sent my wife out with them. Thank God I got a great wife. She did it for me, but I don't get very much into Halloween, so I don't think I can even think of who I want to dress up like. Sorry, but I don't know. I have no answer to that. I can't think of anything I want to dress up like. Get fired up for Halloween, I don't guess. Football season's always fell in the middle of, Halloween's always fallen in the middle of football season. So I don't think I've ever even considered what I might dress up as Halloween. Sorry, maybe these guys can do better than that, but that's about all I can think of.
Well, Coach, let's send it down the line. First of all, introduce who you have with you tonight, and then we'll start and ask them what they want to be for Halloween, or what would they be for Halloween.
All right, we'll be glad to do it. We'll start right here with the guy right beside me. This is Jaden Ewing. Jaden's a linebacker for us and a running back. Joe Lee. Joe's an offensive lineman for us. Ja'Cory Nettles. Ja'Cory's offensive lineman for us, and Jabri Mackey. Jabri's a wide receiver, but he's played pretty much everywhere for us this year. Quarterback, wide receiver, running back. He's been a punt returner, kick returner, been an athlete. So, these are the guys that's here with us tonight. We're glad to have them all.
All right, Jaden, we're going to start with you. And young man, if you could dress up on Thursday, what would you be for Halloween?
I've never really celebrated Halloween, so I really don't know.
Mike,
okay.
That much, Mike.
Okay, so what about this thing? What about this? Since you have done Halloween, what about this one? What's your favorite candy? I know a lot of people give out candy for Halloween. What is your favorite candy?
I really don't eat candy, to be honest with you.
Well, I can tell you, Mike, Reese Cups. Reese Cups.
Reese Cups.
Take some Reese
yes.
Cups.
Reese Cups. Yes. All right, let's go on down the line. What would you be for Halloween if you don't participate in Halloween? What would be your favorite candy? What is your favorite candy?
Definitely about a full-size Snicker bar about yay big.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a big fan of the Snickers. Yes. I used to call them Snickers back in the day, but they're Snickers. But yes, them Snicker bars. All right, let's go on down the line.
For me, my favorite candy was like candy corn. I like candy corn.
Oh, really?
Oh.
I love candy corn.
I think you're in the minority.
Hey, now, Mike, he loves Dr. Peppers now. He loves Dr. Peppers.
Oh, good. Well, now we're at the last one. Favorite candy, or what would you dress up as for Halloween?
My favorite candy, I'm going to have to go with them Skittles.
Skittles. Like I'm a good Skittles. I love me some Skittles too, especially the tropical kind. Absolutely. But before we go any further, Andrew Etheridge is having some technical difficulties and had a hot mic. So I do apologize for that, and I will address that with him as soon as we get off the show. Just want to do that PSA announcement. Now, Coach, you're coming off of a big win against Mobile Christian, 34-12, and you said your guys are resilient. And I want to talk about your team's resilience. And I was talking about how this team shouldn't be underestimated because their record, to me, doesn't reflect how good they are. Well, let's start right there at that Mobile Christian game and take us through your message and your team's performance on this past Friday night.
Well, hey, we were very proud of the game we got Friday night. The effort we got in that game was something that we were looking forward to the last, 5 weeks of the season. We started out pretty poorly, 0-4. We really didn't make any excuses for ourselves. We just said, hey, we got to get better. And there's the things that were correctable were things that we really just had to work on to correct. One, we were not playing very good on defense. We wasn't in very good positions. We didn't align well. We didn't do a lot of things, and we turned the ball over too much on offense. I think the first 4 games of the season, we probably had 12 fumbles, in the ball game. You're not going to win many football games doing that and giving up 40 points a game. Now, those teams were all pretty good football teams also, so that makes a problem because it's hard to correct it when you're playing good folks. But last week, there were 2 things we really stressed to our guys, and that was, to come out with the right kind of intensity and then play our kind of football and don't turn the football over. Don't make mistakes in the game that hurt us. And we didn't. We came out and played the same way we've really played. We had the Jackson game 2 weeks ago. And, of course, Jackson, hey, let's face it, Jackson got an outstanding football team. I think they're, as advertised, they're a good team. We didn't play very well over at Jackson. But in the previous 5 ball games, 4 of them we came out and played much better football. From time to time, not always great, but from time to time we played much better. And we've had guys, last week, a lot of people don't know this, Mike. Last week, Jaden had over 100 yards rushing. ST Clark had 125 yards rushing. Jabri Mackey had 95 yards rushing. And Gerard Crook, our quarterback, had 113 yards rushing. We had
wow, that's amazing.
Went over 100. And we had literally 4 that, if you added in Jabri's all-purpose yards, he was over 100. And a lot of people forget that, the diversity of Jabri, the diversity of our quarterback in Gerard Crook, and really the diversity of ST Clark, because those 3 guys all have over 1,000 yards in all-purpose yards this season amongst themselves. Each one of them has 1,000. But it all really goes back to, and I think we talked about this at the beginning of the season in the summer when we had Joe and Ja'Cory here earlier this summer. Our offensive line has been really the thing that has really held us together and been the mesh point for us this year. Those guys have done an outstanding job holding us together, working hard for us to, because, Mike, I don't think it can be said enough. Everybody inherits different type of football programs.
Right.
When we came to WSNL, we inherited an 0-10 football team. That's what we inherited. And I'm not saying that for myself. I'm saying that for all the kids that were on the team, for the coaching staff we had here. And, from that, they have risen to 3 straight years of making the playoffs. Now, to some people, they say, oh, we make them, they make them every year. But in Neal, that's not the case. Neal has made the playoffs 3 straight years. The last time was 27 years ago. That was at the end of my time before, 2 years after I left, I believe, to be totally exact. But what I'm saying is these guys are the ones that had to do it. These guys, plus all of our football players, had to hang in there through a lot of adversity this year, had to hang in there through an 0-4 start, had to hang in there through people telling you in week 5 that you're not going to playoffs, that your season is over with, that you have nothing to play for. Hey, man, that's tough for high school kids. But you know what? Every one of these boys from WSNL, every one of these East Bruton boys hung in there, kept plowing away. And we lost some along the way. We had 2 or 3 that quit on us, But these guys, the nucleus of our program, hung together, stuck together, and kept fighting to prove what kind of team they were. And for them to have that culmination of that moment in that game last Friday night, at the end of that game, hey, look, there's nothing more satisfying than to be in a ball game and you're driving the ball at the end of the game and that last touchdown is going to be the nail in the coffin, that it's going to be your ticket into the playoffs and into a better seed, because we're actually going to get the number 3 seed out of the toughest 4A region in the state of Alabama, okay? And we paid the price for it with our losses. But still, to be able to go and do that says so much for these guys. And it says so much for the families that they come from and for the people that they come from. And I could not be, as their head coach, any more prouder. And our coaching staff feels the same way. And you know what? That's just something I think they should be commended for. I think it was a tremendous comeback. A lot of teams, Mike, would have folded tent halfway through the season. They would have. It'd been hard for them to hang in there and say, hey, we're just not playing very good. We can just wait the next year. But our senior class, we only have 8 seniors this year. It's only 8 deep. But they've hung in there. Boy, they plowed away. They worked away. And they wouldn't let us go away. They wouldn't let their season go down, because we tell every senior class this. Every team stands on its own team. The 2024 WSNL football team stands alone. They played in 23, and they played on the 23 team, but that was the 23 teams team. This is the 24 teams. You know what I'm saying, Mike? It's kind of like, we played on different teams all through our coaching career and stuff, but each team gets to stand on their own 2 feet. For this team, the one thing I can say for them, they've been a very persevering bunch. I've been very proud of that.
And Coach, it can be very easy to lose confidence, lose motivation when you lose close games and you are just right there. How have you kept your team's morale high during this stretch? And then look, it's paid off in the long run.
Well, I think it's kind of came back. I wouldn't say me. I don't really ever take credit for that, because I think it's way more than just myself. I think it goes back to point out to the guys. A lot of people don't know. I think we averaged 30 points a game. Okay. And that's including a shutout at Jacksonville. We didn't score any points. But what we tell the guys, we say, okay, look, guys, we're scoring 4 to 5 touchdowns every game. So we have the offensive manpower to be a pretty good football team if we can continue keeping that where it's at. But we got to stop. We played Orange Beach, and I can say this because Jaden didn't play tonight, played Orange Beach. He was sick. He was in the hospital with pneumonia. But Joe and Jakor, we went in and told all our linemen, we said, okay, guys, look, everybody's going to play defense, because we're going to have to put a stop to how bad we are, And we went over there that night. We played a lot of those guys. Matter of fact, Jabri, I think, never got the credit for a 294-yard half against Orange Beach, receiving and running the football. I mean, that's a tremendous half in high school football. But, we turned around and we told them they all had to play. Now, the next week we went back and revamped it a little bit and moved some different ones and stuff like that, because obviously, you got to rest people and stuff like that. But all they did was just said, yes, sir, and why didn't play, And for me, I think that's what we had to do. We had to find out first, were they truly wanting to change who we were? Was our team wanting to change who we were? And they did want to change who they were. And so they were able to, from that, the game, our homecoming game at Bluntstown, and it was a big game because it was a hurricane going on that week, if you remember. And the whole week, we really did not know if Bluntstown was coming or not, we kept saying they're probably not going to make it because the hurricane's going to hit right there. Give them credit. They came, and it was a huge game for us because some people don't know Bluntstown. Look, we played Mariana. T.R. Miller will be the third undefeated football team we played this year. Mariana's undefeated. Jackson's got one loss, Saraland. So they're a 9-1 football team. By all standards, they're pretty much undefeated. And then you got T.R. Miller, who's undefeated. So they've all have been undefeated teams when we went into the game to play them. Well, Bluntstown is a 6-2 football team. Bluntstown's got a very good football team. That night, it all started clicking for us. We started playing way better defense. We started tackling better. We started the breaks started going our way instead of going against us like they had the first couple of games of the season. And you know what? I think that was really what it was. We just hung in there, and the guys kept battling every day at practice. And finally things just started happening good for them. Let me tell you something about being let down or being disappointed. Hey man, Mike, that's really life. You know what I mean? That's life. That's my life as a person, as a human being. Your life, that's these kids' life. And the quicker they can learn in life, and they already know, because these boys have overcome adversity every day. Just look, let me tell you a story. And I love the kids at Neal, but you take Jaden. Jaden's in 10th grade. When Jaden missed a week of practice sick. Now he came to practice every single day, but he was sick. And on Thursday, he goes to the hospital to get an IV so that he'll feel better for Friday night's game, because he really don't feel much better and he went to see his doctor, and he was thinking, hey, they admitted him to the hospital with full-blown pneumonia in one of his lungs. And it helps put things into perspective. You know what I mean? But it lets you know the love they have for what they're doing anyway. They're working to learn how to overcome adversity and adverse situations. And I think that what we've told them all year is just take this year and learn how to be a better man when you grow up and somebody's counting on you, how to be a better dad, how to be a better brother, how to be a better teammate. There's all kind of great things they're looking forward to doing in life. But every one of them are going to require us to overcome adversity. So, you know what? If you learn it while you're young, man, you'll be so much better when you're an adult because you already know how to overcome a tough situation. And this year for them, they did have to overcome a tough situation. And that didn't take anything away from what we got ahead of us, because this game Friday night is going to be a tough game for us. It's going to be a ball game in which everybody at WS Neal football and in the community wants to win the football game. It is special. I think I told them this on Monday. It's special to be a part of a rivalry that really matters. Some people say we got a rivalry. Well, you don't have a rivalry if it don't matter to people. This game here is a money maker for both schools. It's great for the community. It's always been something that's been here in our community, and just proud that we're able to be a part of it.
And Coach, folks, we're watching the Powerhouse Sports, the Battle of Murder Creek Coaches Show. Make sure you like, share, and comment. Coaching, and you talked about it, and I have it. See, that's why I like when you come on, because you address every point in one sentence, and I love it. I mean, you give me stuff to talk about, Coach, and I love it. I love it. But let's go back to what you said about, the games like Mariana, Orange Beach, Excel. Orange Beach, you without Jaden, a big piece of your team. Mariana, there was a lot of, there was Bluntstown. A lot of things were, a lot of uncertainty during that week. Excel, that was a close football game. So when you look at those football games and you see you are maybe 1 or 2 plays away from being or winning those games, how do you tell your team, okay, don't lose hope, we're almost there?
Well, I think it's, looking at film. I mean, you can go out and look at the ball games and see that things that there's such things as being self-inflicting damage to yourself, and such things as being that, hey, somebody's just way superior to us. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna come into teams sometimes that are superior to you. We played 7-on-7 all summer. There was some 7-on-7 games we played, and we said, "Whoo!" They had 4 receivers that were 6'4", tough to cover all them guys. A tough bunch. But I think the main thing is going back and looking at the film and saying, hey, these are the things we make accountability for ourselves. Hey, the coaches may have called the wrong play. Maybe we should have called another play, but maybe you should have blocked it a little bit better. Maybe you should have stepped down like we was practicing on in practice, or maybe you should have held onto the ball better, or maybe you should have hit the B gap instead of A gap. It's coaching and looking at the film and trying to learn from your mistakes. But let me tell you, there's a lot of players who don't want to look at their own self and say, hey, what do we got to do to try to get better? I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do anyway, And so I think that's the main thing with these guys. They just look at it and took accountability and said, hey, this is just things we got to work on to get better. I think that's what it comes down to. Just looking at film and saying we can correct these mistakes. We can become a better football team. And eventually it panned that way for us this season. It started turning a little bit in the middle. I think the culminating point was that we could go to Jackson playing a game in which we didn't really play very good. And Jackson had a really good football team. I don't want to underemphasize they were a very fine football team. But we came back the next week and were able to get up off the mat and say, okay, now we're at a competition level here that we can really change our season with a victory over Mobile Christian. And, Mike, Mobile Christian has really been our nemesis here in our region because they were in 3A with us. And 2 years in a row, they were a very good football team. They were the state champions one year, and they were semifinalists the other year. All right. So they were a team that we've been looking at and battling for the last 3 years. To be able to come in and eventually beat them meant a lot to us. It meant a lot to our season. It meant a lot to our playoff ramifications. So all that in a nutshell just made it made things turn around for us there.
And Jaden, I want to bring you into the fold here. My question to you is, we talked about this big win over Mobile Christian and kind of just clinched your way into the playoffs. And my question to you is simply, as a player, what was the vibe around your brothers in that locker room?
We all went to the game with a winning mindset, and we just knew we had a job to do, and we got it done.
And going on down the line, my next question to you, young man, is you're in the playoffs. I mean, you are in the playoffs, and when a lot of people doubted you, and now you've proved a lot of people wrong, how does that make you feel?
I'd say it felt great, honestly. It had gotten to the point where you had people in class just talking you down, and when you go in that game and you win, you prove them wrong, it feels amazing. Prove something to yourself, really.
And we're just going to continue down the line right there. And my question to you is, y'all face a lot of adversity early. I mean, what was something that stood out to you that really impressed you about your team's, how can I say, your team's rallying cry to clinch your ticket to the playoffs?
We just kept coming in every day and working and getting better, stronger, faster, and just the coaching staff never gave up on us and the players never gave up, and we just believed in the program. We just kept coming in and working every day.
And my last question to the last player, here we are, a big week and a big game on Friday night. But before we get to that, let's talk about these fans that you have that have always been there. How does it feel to have this fan base being behind you every step of the way?
Feels good to know that I'm a Eagle Pride, Eagle Nation. I love the fans, love everything they do for us, and I know they can continue to do it whether we win or lose. They always been there with us, and I love them for that.
I've said it once, I've said it twice, and I'm telling you, the Neal fans are just different. They are. The Neal fans are different, and I love them for being different. I mean, I've been to a lot of schools. A lot of big 7A, 6A, 5A, whatever the case may be. The WS Neal fans are different, and they are, I'm telling you, Coach, if you get a stand packed with Eagle fans, I mean, that's automatic 10 points. That's automatic 10 points, Coach.
Well, hey, look, I've always said this because I had the honor of coaching at Neal in the old stadium where people are 10 feet behind you. Now they're way up, no problem like it used to be. Because back in those days, hey, they tell you whether it's going good or whether it's going bad, because they were rabid fans. And now there's a little bit further away that we can't hear quite as much as we used to hear, but they are great, and we have a great support group of people here in our basic fans and in our quarterback club. I mean, a lot of people, we eat every Tuesday night. We have family night supper where we eat with the team just to kind of have time, which I've been doing it for a long time, but I've always done it because it's great, because Ra-Ra. I know Gerard. But when Ron and were in high school, we had family night supper every Tuesday night. We had it all through the years because Tuesday's kind of a long day for us. It gives us a chance to get all the guys together, but it helps the boys spend more time together. But it helps them get to also know other parents who come, because we have different parents who come every week. And then, First Assembly of God Church here in East Bruton, they do devotion and feed us literally every Thursday night during football season, which is great. But a lot of people don't know this. On Friday night, when we play a home ball game, we have a fifth quarter, is what we call it. Now, I know you probably know about the fifth quarter through the church, but we do a fifth quarter here in which when the ball game's over with, the kids go through the lobby and stuff here. We have a little pride room, I guess you call it. And they feed the boys every Friday night. They feed them supper after the ball games, and it gives them a chance to meet another group of parents, but also spend a little more time together. And, so for that, we couldn't be more thankful for the stuff that they do for us. And we just appreciate them very much.
Let's stay on this point. How important is it for a football team, a football program, to have such a strong booster club or a strong administration, especially when your team is in the playoffs?
Yeah, well, it's critical. I mean, quarterback club is critical to your equipment. It's critical to your, the school board does a limited amount, of course, but the Board of Education is the one that allows you to, the athletic club, quarterback club here is the one that allows you to have more. It allows you to have, more things in your facilities. I mean, a lot of people don't know the weight room at W.S. Neal was funded totally by the W.S. Neal quarterback club, not by the Board of Education. The board did build the weight room and stuff years ago, but the athletic club furnished it. It was a huge step for them because that's something they had to come up with the money for, and they chose to get out and do it in a first class manner. So there's a lot of things you have to overcome, but thanks to that athletic club, and we've got a couple people head up certain committees for us here that even these guys don't know who they are. They know who the Tuesday night supper lady is, because she's with us all the time on Tuesday night. Ms. Wilson, Cimarron Wilson, who's also our Bush Club president at this time. But we have a lot of people do different things that are hugely important to us. And, we have, for example, signs on the football field. 3 years ago, we sold 14 signs on the football field. This year is 60. It tells you the work that they've done, because that's money. When you sell those signs and that advertising, that's money for your children back in their program. And so we just appreciate all that they've done for us. We could not function without them for sure, not on the level that we are now.
Okay, so you said y'all have a Tuesday night supper. So it's Tuesday. So did y'all have a supper today?
Oh yeah, we had the special supper tonight. We had
so Coach, I gotta ask, what was on the menu? What was on the menu tonight, Coach?
Hey, look, it was the special T.R. Mother Battle of Murder Creek supper. Now we had steaks. We eat steaks. We had steaks tonight. We had ribeye steaks tonight. So it was good, Mike. You should have came make one with us. It was good.
Okay, that sounds like it was a great time. It was a great time. I'm gonna throw it back to the players, and guys, I am very terrible with names, so do not think I'm being foolish. But I want to start with the young man in the yellow shirt. Tell me your name one more time so I can write it down and remember the next time I ask you a question. But my first question is going to you, and I mean it's just so simple. Before we get to talking about the Battle of Murder Creek, why is it so special to be a WS Neal Blue Eagle?
It's definitely the community, honestly. I mean, you can go around to any school around here, you won't find a community like this anywhere. Anywhere. I mean that. It's just the people, they're always there for you. Even when you think they're not, even when you've lost 4 games in a row, they're not gonna leave. And I love them for that. It's the pride that they have here, and it's just the community for sure.
right, now remind me of your name one more time.
Oh, Joseph Lee. Sorry about that.
All right, you good, Joe. You good. Okay, all right. I'm gonna go the one next to him, the blue shirt. Yeah, you had to tell me your name now.
Ja'Cory Nettles. My bad.
All right, Ja'Cory, I know you. I was just blanking on your name. All right, Ja'Cory, my question to you is, Coach Fountain. I mean, what a great coach, right? What a great coach.
Yes, sir.
Please tell us one of your favorite, and it's okay he's in the room. It's okay he's in the room. Tell us one of your favorite or funniest Coach Fountain memories.
Ooh, there's a lot of them, man. No. I remember there was one game and the ref had a terrible call. I mean, it was absolutely horrendous. And Coach Fountain got mad and he said, you wait till Monday when I send you a letter. He was super duper mad. But that's my funniest Coach Fountain moment. It was hilarious.
That's a critical play, too.
Yes, sir.
So, Coach, going off of that, are you a type of coach that, a headset might break every once in a while? Or do you even wear a headset, Coach?
Well, I tell you, I'm not real good on the headsets because I used to be bad about chunking them, and I stayed away from them. I've mellowed a lot with my age, but I try not to break them because they cost too much. Now I realize how much they cost. Back when I was younger, I just take them back together. But no, I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad.
All right. The young man in the black shirt, tell me your name.
Jabri Mackey.
Jabri. All right. I'm sorry, I'm writing it down. I want to refer to y'all as your name, but that's what the proper thing is to do. And Jabri, my question to you is obviously there is a lot of outside noise, about this football program and about this game that's happening on Friday night. How are you this week, and how have you during the season blocked out all the outside noise that isn't coming from your teammates or your coaches?
As I'm in the classroom and I hear stuff going on about how at first, we was 0-4. Everybody thought the season was over with or whatnot. But as I get on the field with my fellow teammates, all I do is just think about hope is not lost. We still got more games ahead of us, and they always pick up the intensity, always move forward to the next game, no matter win or lose, and just go from there. Only God knows.
And Jaden, I'm going to end with you. You've been a Blue Eagle since birth. You have been a Blue Eagle since birth. Your mother went to school there. She coaches there now. She was a cheerleader. But you have been a Blue Eagle since birth. Your family is nothing but Blue Eagles. So I'm going to ask you the same question. I think I asked Joe. What does it mean to be a WSNL Blue Eagle?
It means a lot. It means a lot to know you have a community of people behind your back that really believe in you. And they never give up on us, no matter win, lose, or draw. They're always there when we need them.
And folks, hang tight. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're talking about the biggest game of the year, every year. This is Powerhouse Sports, the Battle of Murder Creek Coaches Show. We'll be back. And I forgot to do this the last time, so I'm going to do it right now. So I'm going to take a couple seconds of your time and just say, folks, here at Powerhouse Sports, all October long, we are honoring Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And folks, the best way to defeat cancer is early detection. So please, 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 not just breast cancer, all forms, all types of cancer, go get checked early. The best way to beat it is early detection. We all know someone who has either dealt with the disease or is dealing with the disease or has unfortunately passed on from this disease. So that's why all of our parts, to make sure we spread awareness with breast cancer and all types of cancer here at Powerhouse Sports for the rest of October, which is about 2 days. We are pinking it out. We're pinking it out today as we honor this. But folks, please, if you know somebody needs to go get checked, tell them to go get checked because it can save their lives. And coach, it's the biggest game of the year. Every year, the intensity is unmatched, the passion is uncomparable, and the game is unrivaled. Friends are separated, families are divided, and some marriages and relationships, they're just complicated because during Halloween week, people know what that means. The Battle of Murder Creek is here. This is the 82nd edition of the Battle of Murder Creek between the WSNEA Blue Eagles and the TR Miller Tigers. And coach, you are no stranger to this game, so tell us your thoughts about this historic game between Miller and WSNEA.
Well, obviously, I was a boy coming up in East Bruton as you know the rivalry from I can remember as far back to the days of Calvin Culliver back in the early '70s when Calvin was probably the greatest football player who ever played at WSNEA. A lot of these guys don't know him, but he was an outstanding football player. Went on to fame in Alabama. And I can remember, when I was coming up in high school, the battles of Murder Creek between us and T.R. Miller. And then I played in it myself when I was in high school here. And then I was fortunate enough to come back and coach in it. And during those times in the 90s, to me, Neal and Miller were both at a high pinnacle at the same time in the early 90s. The biggest thing that I always say about the Neal Miller rivalry is that, it means so much to so many people in both of these towns. Just the game itself. I mean, the people, show up. I have a vivid memory of 1995. We were playing here at Neal in 95. I think we both were ranked probably in the top 5 in the state in 4A. We were all 4A at that time. And I came in about 6 o'clock that morning on Friday morning, and both sides of the bleachers here at Neal was covered with blankets and a little bags and stuff where people had already claimed their seats for that night. That was before the day of getting your reserved seats. And people came in just claimed their own seats with bags. And I said, well, how in the world they do it? Because at Neal, they never did lock the gates. Everybody just came in the night before the game and claimed their spots. That was quite a memory of how much it meant to a lot of people. And, the thing with us, though, is, I've been back 2 years. We didn't play very well in the 2 games that I've been back to at Neal. I can't speak for all the other years, but, I think it's been probably 7 years since we beat T.R. Miller. And you keep a rivalry because you're able to compete and play in those games. And, that's one thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to be able to compete and play in that game. And the last 2 years, we had good moments, but we didn't play very well in those ball games. And this year, it's something that we're, looking to go back into and play at a much higher level than what we've been able to play, the last 2 years. So I think it's great when you're in a rivalry. It's great when a rivalry means something. And I know this because I left WSNEA and I coached at Charles Henderson for 16 years. And when I was there, I always remember 2 conversations I had. One person was trying to compare the Pike County Charles Henderson rivalry to Neal and Miller. And Pike County Charles Henderson was a big rivalry. But let me tell you, it was nowhere near the level of Neal and Miller because this game means something to people every year, regardless of what everybody's records are. And then one time a guy was trying to tell me that Eufaula and I think Smith Station had a great rivalry. And it was nothing compared to what Neal and Miller was. Neal and Miller is in my opinion, and it's biased, of course, is the greatest high school rivalry in the state of Alabama because it's 2 small schools, not very far apart. And, both schools, it's always been a pretty, clean rivalry. Neal and Miller's always been a pretty clean rivalry because everybody intermingles so much in our communities, work together and stuff. And, but, it's great to be able to be a part of a rivalry that really means something and something that you can talk about for the rest of your life,
And Coach, I'm going to bring in your players back into the fold here, and I'm going to start with Jabri, and we'll end with Jaden. But my question is to all 4 of you gentlemen, and that is simply, what does the Battle of Murder Creek mean to you?
This will be my 2nd Battle of Murder Creek year. It means a lot to know that. I don't even know, to be honest, but it's just a high intensity. It be talked about for ages now, so I'm just ready to be a part of that game again and how the intensity level is going to be on the field.
Go ahead.
I mean, it means a lot to me. I mean, but it's more for the community because it means a lot to the community in this game, and it's just one of those games. You got to get up and get after it.
Yeah, to me, the Neal Miller game is all about intensity. You got people hyping it up from the beginning of the year. It'll be the second game of the season, man. Miller looks really good this year. Y'all gonna be able to compete. Tell them every year, man. Of course we will. And it's amazing just going out there and seeing those stands so packed.
This game has always meant a lot to me, from little league to middle school to now. It's always a very high intensity game. It's a very high stakes game because everybody likes bragging rights. So,
And all of you are absolutely correct. And Joe, you're the one that mentioned this. I'm going to throw it back to you. You said you have people saying, "Hey, are y'all gonna be able to compete with Miller this year?" I mean, I would take that a little disrespectful and like make that say, "Hey, I got a little something to prove." I mean, what is your thought process? What is your mindset when someone comes up to you and makes a statement like that?
I mean, I tell them the same thing every time. Of course we will. Because, I mean, I believe in our team. Every year, I believe our team and our coaches get better at the jobs that they do. So I know for a fact that we will be able to compete.
And coach, now bringing you back into the loop and on that same line, when you turn on the film, I know film is not like they used to have it back in the day where you had to take it and probably get it developed. Now it's all digital, coach. So when you look at the film, what do you see from this TR Miller team?
Well, obviously they got an outstanding football team. Because they're a very seasoned team. They have a lot of guys that have been playing for them for a couple of years, and they're very diverse on offense. They do a lot of when you look at it, you say, oh, well, they run the zone, or they run the stretch, or they run some RPOs and stuff. But the thing is, they do it in so many different ways that they are difficult to defend because they're very explosive offensively as far as the things that they can do with what they have. When you look at them defensively, of course, and it's probably been this way, which is really a compliment to them more than anything. They've been this way for a long time. They play hard on the defense side of the ball. They run to the ball. They hustle to the ball. And I think that, us and them in a lot of ways switch positions. We moved to 4A, they moved to 3A. And last year we were 4A, they were 3A. Of course, last year, I was telling somebody we were dealing with a Jalen Lockley situation. We found out on Jalen's situation on Tuesday of last year. I think I talked with y'all on the show on Monday, on Tuesday, when we got hit with that bombshell.
Right, you're right.
And that changed the whole week for us last week. He was last year, but he was such a pivotal part of our football team. And then he's not able to play in that game with us at night. So I think that the way I look at it is I think that they have an outstanding team. It's nothing new when you look at them. Coach Hubbert is a good high school football coach. I mean, his record speaks for itself. He's been successful everywhere he's been, and he's brought his winning formula, to TR Miller, and they just continued in that direction there. I think Miller is the winningest high school football program in the state of Alabama. So, obviously, you know what you're going up against when you go up to play them. They do an outstanding job because they're very committed and very dedicated to having an outstanding football program. And that's kudos to them and their administration and the people that have built that program into what it is there. And I mean, I know it firsthand because I was here before and I'm back again, and I see what they've done with their stuff there, and it's impressive. But I think that when you look at them, you say they got an outstanding football team. They're not going to be the type of team that you go in there and play. When we play on Friday night, we're not going to be able to go in there and expect them to beat themselves. They just not going to lose games, but they beat themselves. They do too many good things. People, they'll say, well, you got Miles, and Miles is an outstanding football player. But they've got so many other outstanding football players that play for them. Maybe not on the same individual talented level as Miles, because obviously I think he's going to Florida or somewhere in the SEC. But they've got a lot of guys that do their job for them and it make it very difficult to prepare for them. So I think that, plus I do want to just take a minute to say, that the Let Kid situation. I mean, that's been a heartbreaker just to follow along with. I've talked to Coach several times about it, through the season. But Kenny's dad actually played for my brother at Frisco City. And I actually met his dad just by happenstance at a basketball game last year. And, that kind of situation is not something you can ever be prepared for when the season starts. You can't be prepared for it no matter how long you've ever coached in football. And so you add all that up, that makes for them to have a team that is in a motivated fashion in more ways than just one. And so in order for us to win the football game, but it's the same way last year. There's nothing different about Miller this year than it was last year. The way you beat them in a football game is you have to go out there and outperform them on the field, match their intensity level up, and then don't go out there and make a bunch of mistakes in the ball game. And last year, I believe in the game last year, Michael, we had 4 turnovers, I want to say, in the ball game last year. We played pretty fair in the first quarter, but we kind of fell apart with mistakes. We had several mistakes in the second quarter that just put us behind. And then we gave up a touchdown after we gave up a 3rd and 19 in the second quarter last year. That just crushed us, and they ended up scoring on that drive right before the half. And those type of things, you can't, but it doesn't matter if it's Miller, it matters any good football team, you're not going to beat them when you do those things. And so that's what I think about them. I think they've obviously got an outstanding team, an outstanding program.
And I want to throw it over to, throw it to Jabri. And Jabri, my question to you is, how do you take the momentum from the Mobile Christian win into this week against T.R. Miller?
Come out with the same intensity level as we did Mobile Christian. Come out with the same focus, the same everything, to be honest. Because if we don't, then as we know, T.R. Miller is a good football team, and we might just lose the football game.
Well, hey, Mike, one thing, let me add to that for Jabri, is that, as you get better and as things go good, you have to build off of those good things. You don't go backward. You build off of them. It's like with Jabri this year. I mean, beginning of the year, he really was a pass catcher. But as the season went on, we said we give him a couple of handoffs, and we go, wow, Joe can run too. He's hard to get his hands on. Then you say, well, put him back on a kickoff. Then he takes a kickoff for a touchdown. And you say, well, we might better let him get the ball in his hands in more ways than that. We have 2 outstanding running backs with Jaden Ewan and S.T. Clark. So we say we got to find other diverse ways to get the ball into Jabri's hands. And so we just work on that all. I think I told you this summer when he was here before, I said, one of our biggest keys this year is figuring out a way to get the ball into his hands. And, so I think that's been something that you have to build on, not just for this week, but every week as we go forward, throughout the playoffs.
And Coach, when you look at last week and if you look at your season so far, what is something that you are looking to clean up in practice this week to get you ready, to get you prepared for Friday night's game?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think, cleaning up small areas has been what has helped us get on a better track. We start out the season, really, I don't want to use the word pitiful, but we were pretty bad in special teams. We've had to really pay attention to detail in that and get better in that area. I think that the things that you take from last week's ball game are probably little things like small penalties at big moments in the game. We twice in the second half last week, we really had an early opportunity to put the nail in the coffin for them, but we might have an offsides penalty, or we might have a delay of game or something, small like that, that would crush that particular drive and make you be 1st and 10 instead of, which make you be 1st and 15 instead of, 2nd and 5 or something, So I think that's really the biggest thing. Is just like you said, and the things we probably need to clean up is just small things like execution, because execution is self-driven. Execution is something that you can get better at every day in practice. And penalties, I was always told when I played football that penalties, especially offensive penalties, were self-discipline. And so that means the individual person can change that anytime they want to. They just have to quit holding, or they have to quit, concentrate more, don't jump off sides or something of that nature. So I think those are the little things we have to work on.
And folks, once again, thank you so much for watching tonight. It is supposed to be me and Andrew, but it turns out to be just me. But we are rolling on. And Jaden, I'm going to start, and I want to give you this question to Jaden. What is your mindset going into this game. And I mean, I've always called it the biggest game of the year every year. Are there's media people like me that just talk nonsense all week, and there's people that came up to Joe and say, "Well, do you have what it takes to beat Miller this year?" or something on the lines of that. So, what is your personal mindset going into this big game on Friday night?
Definitely focused. Making sure everybody does their job on defense and just get a lock in and get ready to play football.
And Ja'Cory, I'll ask you the same question. What is your mindset for the game on Friday night?
Be focused, play hard, play tough football. Just play some smash mouth old school WSNL football.
And Coach found I'm going to give you this question. Last year, I don't let me put myself on the screen. Last year, Coach, when I gave you this question, I made a mistake and said the wrong team. So I'm going to get it right this year. Coach, what does WS Neal have to do on Friday night to win this football game?
I think what we have to do to win this football game on Friday night is play our style of football the whole football game. I tell the guys, I'm honest with them what I think about everybody that we play, and I don't think in order to win the game you have to do anything extraordinary. But what you have to do is you have to do what is our kind of football and our style of football. Like I've said 4 or 5 times tonight, we can't go out there and turn the ball over. We got to come out with a high level of intensity and match the intensity level of the ball game for both sides, because both sides are going to have a great deal of intensity in the ball game because it's just what it is in a rivalry game. But we also have to be within ourselves. We have to be focused on what our job is without losing our mind because we're playing for everybody else in the whole wide world. Everybody else from East Bruton or everybody else that they're pulling for us. And so, I believe that those are things we got to do. We got to play our kind of football. We got to corral the football on defense. On the offensive side of the ball, we got to, pretty much, Michael, there's no magic formula to winning in high school football. It's blocking and tackling and holding on to the football. And those are the things that, we're going to have to do in this ball game to win. Now, when you play in a big ball game, obviously the people you're expecting to do well have to do their part. The people that are skilled have to play to that high skill level that they have. The offensive line, as I tell them literally every Friday night, y'all gonna be the key to us winning the ball game tonight. If we're able to win the ball game, it's gonna be because trust me, it's tough when you go down and you play Mariana. And I believe I can't remember exactly. Y'all may count. I think it was 46-38. It was a very high scoring game. And after the game, you kind of look, you go, okay, because we scored 38 points. Offensive line. They didn't do it, but they created the holes because we've been a great rushing football team most of the year. Well, I think at that time, you have to remember that it's all way more to a football game than just a one-man show. It's never one man that makes the show go, but the athletes do have to do their part in a big game. They have to show up and perform on a high level, and all of them want to when you get in these big rivalry games anyway, and it's just a matter of showing up and doing it, So I think for us, it's just play WSNL football. I don't think it's no magic formula to it. I think it's just go back. We lift weights every day, Mike. We go in that weight room every day of the week. We go in there before we ever go to practice every day. And we started doing that really 2 years ago when we said, hey, we're so far behind the other programs in this area. We've got to get in that weight room and start getting bigger and stronger and faster so that we can actually compete as we're working to compete, as we play these ball games. And I think that's what, these games are your opportunity to bring that to fruition. These are your chances to say, hey, the work that we've been doing, not just on the football field, but off the football field in both areas, comes together in these big ball games, and you have the opportunity. The greatest thing about playing a game like this game with us and Miller Friday night as a football coach is the challenge of it. And it's got to be the same way with the kids, and it is. The challenge of it, and you don't have that opportunity every single week because you're not playing the game that really matters to everybody in the community. This game matters. And so this is their chance to do it. And, I think that's what it comes down to, us playing, WS Neal style of football. I think that's what it comes down to.
And, Coach, before I throw it back to the players and ask them the final question, real quickly, I want to touch on the playoffs. I know y'all are focused on T.R. Miller, but W.S. Neal with the win over Mobile Christian. They are a 3 seed now in Class 3A Region 4, a very tough region. But now you're ready to play St. James. I know W.S. Neal is kind of tired of playing St. James. I think they played St. James maybe the last 2 out of 3 years, I believe. You might have to correct me on that. But any initial thoughts yet on your first round matchup?
Nah, no thoughts on the first round matchup. We know who it's going to probably be. You know, it looks like it's St. James, like you say. We played St. James 2 years ago. But do remember this: St. James state champions 2 years ago. I mean, it wasn't just another team; they were the state champions. And last year they lost in the semifinals to Mobile Christian because Mobile Christian was state champs in 3A last year. So what does that say? That says that we know St. James had a very good football team the last 2 years because we know we actually played them 2 years ago. So we realized what they have, and we realized that in order to play that, in order to beat them, you're not going to be able to go in there. And it's kind of like, these games that we're playing. Of course, what we did 2 weeks ago, I told the guys, I said, look, we got 2 games. We got Mobile Christian, we got T.R. Miller. Mobile Christian has its importance by itself. T.R. Miller has its importance by itself. Well, after that game was done, it was easy to walk in on Monday and say, okay, now we got the Miller game, and then we got the new season, which is the playoffs. So that's what it is. This week, we nothing but focus on T.R. Miller. That's all we focused on. And because the game means a lot to our community, and it means a lot to both communities. But next week, we'll get focused when we come in here on, Saturday morning when we wake up, or Friday night we get back. We'll get focused on St. James, and then we'll see how far that carries us. We'll see how far we can ride it out in the playoffs. So I think at this time, it'd be premature to be looking any further than this. Right now, we're just, glad to have this one in front of us and looking, that it's the one that's next for us.
And I'm going to start with Jaden and end with Jabri. Guys, my question to you is simple. They're calling for a blue out on Friday night for the Blue Eagle fans to wear blue into Blue Out Municipal Stadium. I don't want all of you to treat this as a pep rally, not a go Eagles, not show up, be loud, be proud, but let's each of you give a message to the Blue Eagle Nation to show up on Friday night. They'll be there regardless, but maybe some people might need a little extra motivation to be there. So I'm gonna let y'all give it to them. Starting with you, Jaden.
Just it's gonna be a good game, and the more support we have, the better off we are as a football team. Because the louder the fans get, the more hype we get, and the more hype we get. I can't say that, but the more hype we get, the better we play, and so the fans help us a lot. So
yeah, I'd like to piggyback off what he said. The fans really do help us a lot. Just seeing y'all there, it motivates us way more than y'all know, way more.
Man, there's nothing like the Neal fan base. Like, I don't think I gotta say too much for this game because there's nothing like the Neal fan base.
Come out and support. Love the Eagle Nation. We're gonna play a good football.
All right, folks, you heard them. Now, I was supposed to have help tonight, but that is fine. Things come up, but I was here and I enjoyed you, Coach. I enjoyed you, players. People know who I am rooting for on Friday night, but Coach, I do want to tell you this, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for just opening your doors to Powerhouse Sports. You have always been warming and receptive to us ever since you got there. And I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to seeing your team compete on Friday night and even into the playoffs. I know the Blue. I'm not a part of the Blue Eagle Nation. I know I have family in the Blue Eagle Nation, but when I talk to them, they are all.
You can be, Mike. Hey, Mike, look now. The one thing, when I first came to Neal, and they asked me to go on Powerhouse Sports, and you lucky you had Raj, your buddy, I said, man, they were T.R. Miller fans right there. I said, look, Neal people don't get on T.R. Miller Network. Trust me on that one. And but Raj, he spoke up highly for you, and he said, look, they'll be fair to you, Coach. And you and Andrew, I pick on Andrew a lot because I told Andrew when we was at Jackson, I bumped into Andrew and I said, Andrew, I said, y'all guys done got us out of the playoffs. If you read the brackets good, we can still make the playoffs. And he said, we're going to make Mobile Christian and WSD the game of the week. Well, I kept looking for y'all last week at the game of the week, but didn't nobody show up, Mike. I told you tell Andrew he did me bad on that one now. So, but hey,
he didn't show up.
I didn't get my interview after the game like the winners normally get, Mike. I'm just messing with Andrew. Hey, but Mike, listen to me. We appreciate all that y'all ever do for high school sports, because we're coaches from high school sports. Well, there's Andrew right there. Andrew coming on the screen now. See,
he just stood us up yet again, Coach. Wow. It's hard to find good help these days, Coach Pound. It's hard to find good help.
I understand too much. Man, look, let me tell you. Hey, the thing about me is I'm a lifetimer high school guy. I love high school sports. I've always loved football. And I think that when y'all have shows like this, look, these shows wasn't around back when I first started. So, I try to get used to this internet stuff. But it's great when you can promote these players and give them their moment in the spotlight. And because that's what it's all about. High school football is all about, is giving them their time and giving them their moment. And I do respect y'all for the program that you have and what you're trying to do with high school sports. And we appreciate that very much.
And Coach Fun, I do want to say I apologize. My mic was on. I was joking around earlier because my girlfriend, she was a cheerleader at Neal. I know me and you joke about the internet issues, and I told her for the show. I don't know if you heard it. I'm going to repeat what I said. I said, y'all need to get a coach that can work the internet. It took him 30 minutes last time to get on the show. And people heard it. People thought I was being serious. But
that's okay. I understand.
But I was Floyd texted me, and he kind of got on to me a little bit. I didn't know what was said.
Hey, look, I was on time. I was on time. Hey, and the thing about me is I don't know how to do the internet, but I got people that can teach me, that try to teach me all the time. So I'm good with it. I'm good.
Yeah, I told Floyd the story at Jackson. You told him that you didn't want to use an iPad again because it was complicated. So
yeah,
I think you did again though, didn't you, on the iPad?
Nah, we just went to the computer this time. It's much easier this way, I think. Built-in cameras.
Gotcha.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope somebody will be there on Friday night. Andrew and Hollywood are slated to be there on Friday night. I will be live from the studio doing a mega cast. So, folks, if you want live reactions during the game, come on over here because I'll be live the whole game. And I can't wait. Jaden, I'm going to give you a special shout out because your grandpa, my uncle, he texted me as soon as Friday's games for overtime about your cousins are coming. So, Jaden, my cousins are coming to Bruton on Friday night, and I can't wait to see you and Gerard or Man show out on Friday night. So I just want to go ahead and let you know that your grandpa, my uncle, I love him to pieces, but he's already on me. He was on me Friday night. So good luck to the Blue Eagles on Friday night and especially throughout the rest of the season. Andrew Etheridge, I'm Michael Floyd. Thank you, Coach Hugh Fountain, for joining us. And the WS Neal Blue Eagles, they always show up, and they show out. We will be back on Thursday night for our predictions. This is the biggest game of the year, every year, the Battle of Murder Creek. Boys, don't go to bed. You got school in the morning. And maybe, probably go trick-or-treating on Thursday night. Maybe. Yes, do it maybe. Folks, I'm Michael Floyd saying good night, and so long, everybody.